Yo, 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 yo. Yo, 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 yo. We're getting it done. Stream 62. We're giving feedback on tracks. Plain and simple. We're going to check out song arrangement, sound design, everything we need. First off, let's go ahead and announce the amazingness that is going on here today. We're going to go ahead and let everyone know what's good. We have about 16 submissions. We're going to review them and see what's good. So, first in line is called Edible Decibels. We're going to go ahead and see if there's any cover art that we need to actually check out. Hashtag live WIP feedback if you guys want to submit your track for next week. Submissions are closed right now, but you can get yours in. We can check it out next time. The Edible Decibels is from Opedic. Edible Decibels version 2. Clip. Shall this be what I think it shall be? We shall see. All right, guys, let's run it.
What you know about?
What it do? Nicely done, Opedic. Edible Decibels version 2. We didn't get version 1, dog. We got version 2. Am I dead? What's good? Nice to see you. So, guys, this was pretty nice. Pretty heaviness. We had some nice, almost like Japanese-inspired plucked strings. Feels nice. I don't know what instrument that is, but it's feeling nice. Overall, real nice energy in the build-up. It's nice that we have all this tension building. When we get to the drop, though, it doesn't sound like enough energy is in the drop. Let's go ahead and analyze further. It is loud enough. We're coming in pretty hot, -3. The overall flow is just not that interesting. It's pretty repetitive and gets like predictable over time. You know, it's like dun 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 dun. It doesn't seem to veer away. There should be some type of a movement, some type of call and response going on here so that we can add more energy. Yeah, it's very minimal bounce, not enough like bounce and movement. So you want to make sure that you do a little bit more movement between sounds or between pitches, maybe dynamic movements, stereo image movements, so that we can be moving more, dancing more. Yeah, and this just continues to play. It's pretty repetitive. It switches up here, but barely. So basically, I mean, this is fine, but we want EDM to be as energetic as possible. Over time, as this sound progresses, the energy is decreasing rather than increasing, which is usually what is happening with, usually the pro artists are playing the first phrases and then they continue to keep the energy progressing all the way until the next breakdown. It's really an energy game. So you do different techniques, dynamics, movement, call and response, lots of different tricks that you can try to add more movement in this rhythm sound. Remember, like 10 years ago, this would be groundbreaking, innovating, but since people have just made sounds like this for so long already, it's not groundbreaking anymore. So everyone try as hard as you can to make new sounds, new grooves, new rhythms, new flows. And remember, dynamics is important too. So like the only silence sections, really, the quieter sections are these. It's coming very fast. If there was more silence involved, it would add a lot more bounce and groove. We have more silence here. But like I said, it's just not enough. And the bass is playing the whole time. So it's the same sound. Remember, our ears are going to adjust and get used to the tone and the sound that we're hearing. So if you start switching it up and keeping our ears surprised with new frequencies, it's going to help. It'll help a lot. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, good job, man. Got a great foundation there. That's what I like to see. Opeta going in. Up next, we have Azul with Dab. Dab of Despair. ID. WIP. Okay, check out the cover art. Check it out. Very nice, very nice. Let's go in.
Dude, it's drum and bass. Bass. It's drum and bass. Dude, it's drum and bass.
Yeah, Dab of Despair. That was pretty freaking loud, honestly. I gotta say, I had to turn it down. Unfortunately, we were hitting like 0 lufs. We should never be in that danger zone. -3 lufs is enough to damage our hearing. And we want to be listening to those frequencies at that loudness very minimally. It's very destructive. We want to preserve our ears as long as possible. So be careful out there. Use your measuring tools, luf meters. If we turn this down 3 decibels, we're able to get to about -3 lufs, which is good. Problems with getting too loud is that it sounds too distorted. It sounds like there's a lot of unwanted frequencies being played. And on top of that, this song in particular doesn't have too much flow or movement or structure going on. It's more kind of like, it's almost like a sample pack preview, the way it's just like previewing sounds rather than arranging them in a way that is creating danceable movements and danceable grooves. One of the things you see that keeps repeating over time is this little section. We go back in. There's not really any structure here. So because of that, the energy will decrease over time. It's not going to stay the same. If we keep hearing the same thing over and over, we get used to it. We get bored of it. We get tired of it. That is very common. So we have to make sure that you have proper phrasing. Drops are a thing. Intros are a thing. Build-ups are a thing. We don't want to make a drop that's 64 bars long. You want a drop to be manageable. 16 bars, 32 bars are perfect lengths for the drop. And then intros, build-ups, those are around 8 bars. You can even extend them if you want. Intros could be 8, 16 bars. You can mix and match, but really the drops should be like 16 bars, 32 bars. A lot of this music is being DJ'd by DJs, so timing is important. Structure and phrasing is very important. Remember that if you want your tracks to be played out, it's important to think of making your track easy for the DJ to play. It will benefit you greatly when DJs start playing out your music at the festivals, and then, you start playing festivals. You know what I'm saying? So, turn it down, dial back the distortion, dial back the repetitive phrasing, and start to reference maybe your favorite artists and how they structure their tracks when it comes to intros, breakdowns, drops, and study the timing, study the different techniques that they use to keep the audience engaged and the listener engaged. Very important. It's a fun time. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, you're in the process of changing your DJ alias. Gamer tag. Your name could be anything. Honestly, your name should be something that really means something, My name means drip. Like dressing cool and being fresh, I guess. I made it around the drip or drown time. Drip became a thing, and then drip, like we make drops, and there's like a drip drop, we make drops. There's a lot of play on stuff going on there, but I have a feeling I'm gonna have like 3 different aliases, or 4. I'll have hidden aliases, because dude, music is just gotta express yourself some way. Okay, Suru is up next. Azul, Dab of Despair, nice. Torg coming in hot with Zuru clip. Check out the cover art, very nice. Go ahead and get it done.
Sense of death and destruction.
Ooh. Dun, 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 dun. Suru clip coming in. All right, Suru clip by Torque. Torque. I wonder what that stands for. I like the way that sounds. It sounds like a robot. Torque. Very cool. All right, so good idea. We have a nice good idea. You have some You have some nice human voices, like the choirs and the basses. It mixes well, you know. The human voice is going to do a lot. Now, when we get to the drop, though, unfortunately, the energy is not high enough. We don't have enough layers. We don't have enough presence in the mono. So in the middle, we don't hear enough. Everything's like spread out to the sides, the stereo, left and right. But we've lost everything in the middle. It also sounds like reverb is drowning all the basses. And the basses are like in this ocean, in this wetness of reverb. But we really need both. You know, we need to do parallel processing. So you want to have a dry signal and the wet signal playing at the same time. Turn down the wet signal, let the dry signal be a little louder, right? And then remember, stereo image is mono and stereo. So the reverb and all that stuff is on the stereo. And then the dry version is in the middle, which is the mono. Then you have everything full. It's really important we do that. And we have to make sure we don't drown out the basses too, because that's going to lower the energy of our sounds. Keep in mind, it sounds like you have about like maybe one sound. You can layer a lot, like 3 mid basses, cut out all the lows, and then add your sub and have a nice fat sub. You can turn up the sub a lot. You can even group the sub with the basses and turn those up together and achieve really good results. Right now it sounds like the sub is weak, and we don't hear or feel a lot of these frequencies, so they need to be mixed down in a way where we can hear them and feel them at maximum pump in volume. Keep in mind too, if we measure, we're coming in about negative 8.6 left. So for a song like this, a dubstep song, this is very quiet. This is about the loudness of house music. And at that, this is about how minimum quiet house music we get. Sometimes house gets as loud as like negative 5 lefts, right? So you want to be like around negative 6, negative 5 at least. And then your maximum would be like negative 3 lefts for this type of song. If anyone is DJing regular songs and then they try to mix in your song, it's going to sound a lot lower in volume, which means it'll be lower energy. That's going to cause issues. So just be aware of that. Make sure you use these free measuring tools like Ulean loudness meter. Or you can get this one for like $10. The Swiss Army loudness meter. And start to use reference tracks, see how loud other songs are, and then you can start to adjust your track accordingly. You know what I'm saying? Remember, layers, stereo image, and not too much verb. Don't drown that stuff out. Parallel processing. Remember, guys, I do free tutorials on my YouTube going over parallel processing, layering. Try to check them out. Ask me questions. I can try to send you videos if you need. And I do 1v1 lessons if you guys also need to. So let me know if you need help. I got you. That's how we get it done. Up next, we have Guitar 2024, June 30th by Scary Larry. Oof, well, that sounds very nice. Let's go ahead and get it done. Looks like we're coming in straight with some vibes. Scary Larry hitting them quick with the guitar 2024, June 30th. And people don't know till you know. Nice. We're coming in with some beautiful, chill vibes with the guitar. The guitar, obviously, is one of the most used instruments for a reason because of how versatile it is with tone and timbre and pitch and beauty, you know, and we're using it in a way that just feels nice, feels good, and we're able to transition it to something that feels like hybrid trap, psychedelic, vibey wubbies. It feels good. Now, one of the things here that is not working is that the main bass, so like that, it almost sounds like a re-space in the sub. It's very wide, and really it should be in the middle. All these low frequencies crowding up the sides, it doesn't really work well. The low frequencies really belong in the middle. That's why the sub is always in the middle, mono, and the kick is always in the middle, mono. Once we start to put it on the sides, we get a lot of issues. So definitely put the sub in the middle, put the res in the middle, and then you kind of sprinkle in stereo image from the basses. Maybe layer in some extra res bass that does stereo image. You work it in a creative way so that it's not taking up so much of the sides. We need that to be in the middle so that everything else, like your choirs and your guitar, they can shine. Those belong on the sides, and they are going to be moving around from left to right and doing all kinds of movements. So we can't let the bass be trying to crowd up this space and acting like he's the only guy in town, because he ain't the only guy in town. The sub is not the only guy. The sub needs to calm down. Sub got a big ego. Sub try to be acting like he's the only man. But we just gotta let him know. Next, towards the end, we're starting to get repetitive. It's starting to sound like the same guitar thing, just looping back and forth. So you really want to start to mix it up. Big dynamic switches. Start to incorporate maybe more silence. We start to do it over here with the filters and stuff. But we need it to be like lots of different movements, different grooves, so we can veer away from all the same grooves and movements here. Switch it up, and then we can go back to this. So just remember, switch up the energy over time, keep the audience engaged all the way to the end. And once we start doing filters like this, we got to be careful, because right now it's distorting a lot. It sounds like there's a lot of static coming through. When you hear that static, it's usually like resonance from a filter. It's maybe like low frequencies that are like coming through on the filter. So just use your EQs, check your auto filters, check the resonance settings on everything, and you can try to fix these issues. Also changing the filter, like going from auto filter to EQ8, for example. Things like that can help with this. I deal with this issue a lot, all the time. But yeah, that's about it. Otherwise, good vibes, man. Oh yeah, vocals. You need vocals, dude. This is sounding empty without proper vocals going with this guitar. So make sure you get a good vocal acapella. Download some phrases or some ad-libs or some one-shots. It doesn't have to be a full, like, ripped thing. It could just be a sentence, literally, or a couple sentences. You can use a lot of different things. Just make sure they're singing and harmonizing with what's going on in your song. Okay, now we're good. Good job, Scary Larry. That didn't sound too scary. Ooh, that was sounding pretty beautiful. Next, Wait, Run with the cleansing. Not done. Not done. That's what we should put instead of WIP. Not done. I'm going to start putting ain't finished. All right, let's go. The cleansing.
Welcome to the cleansing.
Am I getting cleaned? Am I getting cleansed?
Welcome to the cleansing.
I don't know. Have to figure out right now.
Welcome to the cleansing. Welcome to the cleansing. Welcome to the cleansing.
Ooh. That's really hard.
Shit, what the fuck?
Oh, it's crazy, bro. That's a lot of energy, man. Lots of flow. Very impressed with the way you're able to switch up the phrases constantly and just keep the energy progressing. That's one of the hardest things to do, you know? Being able to properly do that and still make it interesting is hard. And when I hear stuff like this, it's difficult to do, and it's elite. And I know that in the future, you're going to be really, really good. Some of the things here, like mixing wise, are off. So like some people are mentioning the sustains. So like sustains, for example, may be a little bit too loud. Hats, for example, are too loud compared to the basses. Lots of weird mixing things going on that needs to be adjusted. I really recommend that you get a good interface. Like I use the Apollo. When I went to audio engineering school, they gave us one of these when we enrolled, and it's a beast. It plugs in directly to the wall because it gives you enough power to power 250 ohm headphones, which will let you hear and let you experience more dynamic range, more volume, and help you make better decisions while producing. Usually 80 ohm is the regular, right? That's what we usually use. But once you get $1,000 interface, you can actually get enough power to power one of these, and it can really help with your mixing. So I really suggest that. It also helps with the stereo image. You can hear more, feel more. This is what, you know, the pros are using, and I definitely recommend you start doing that, because mixing is everything. Once your mix is perfect, you sound professional, and then people will get mind blown all the time. Also, keep in mind too, energy transitions are really important. So after such an amazing high energy drop, we want to be able to transition properly to the breakdown. And this is sounding abrupt here. Let's check this. So no fill to the breakdown. It kind of just sounds like you washed out into the breakdown. There's a lot of low frequencies starting to compete in this. So this can be cleaned up a lot. This makes the whole track seem a lot more unprofessional than it could be. The drop is extremely complex. It's difficult. It's impressive. But you want to make sure that every little detail is looked over here, because once we are trying to transition these into mixes and stuff, we want to make sure the timing and energy is perfect. This is good. This is really nice. Sound design, the tone and the grunginess, the distortion is good. Now, if you listen to what's going on the sides, there's a lot of fast movement on the sides. It almost sounds like you could be EQing the sides even more so that there's more focus on the basses in the mono, and the ones in the side stop competing with what's happening in the mono, because it kind of sounds like both are competing with each other, and it's almost causing some congestion in the mix. So EQ, remember, there should be one star of the show. Everything else should kind of be supporting it. And we go back and forth between phrases. Otherwise, yeah, this is pretty good, man. Nice. Oh yeah, last thing, the vocal.
Welcome to the cleansing.
That vocal is so just high pitched and just like it belongs in a different type of song. You want to lower the pitch, add effects, make it distorted. It should match the tone and energy of this track, because right now it just feels very out of place, and that can be easily fixed, and that would make a dramatic difference as well. So that's it. Okay, nice. The cleansing, good job. That is they run. They run. I'm not too sure. Up next, Edge and Zarkin. Checkmate. Let's run it. Edge, Zarkin with Checkmate. Cool. Pretty nice energy. We got lots of craziness going on here. Good structure, good arrangement. Unfortunately, though, we have almost a loss of dynamic. So it almost sounds like everything is clipped to the max. It's actually really loud. I had to turn it down almost all the way for it to not really hurt my ears. We're coming in about like negative 1.8 LUFS. And when we're this loud, we have to be really careful because if there's a lot of frequency buildup that are unwanted, or if there's like distortion coming on, that's going to be amplified. And right now that's what's happening. This can easily have more dynamic range in it. You can turn these things down. Make sure your maximum is just like -3. And then at -3, make things as high energy as possible. Instead of turning it up to get energy, you want to layer and get frequencies to actually blend together to get energy. Because right now, it's really loud, and some sections are also very empty. So like this section, for example. It just sounds like one bass and the sub playing, and it sounds like the same bass is really playing the whole time. The tone and the energy of the main lead should change at some point, and it doesn't throughout the whole song. If you use the same bass, you can easily duplicate it, move the wavetable, change the wavetable, maybe add a filter, change the filter. There's many different ways that you can add variation to the same bass, because that's what's going to keep it interesting. Our ears will adjust to the same tone and the same bass. So the energy levels just won't be as high if it's the same sound we're hearing the whole time. And then lastly, the most important thing is there's a lot of energy missing because the basses are all in the sides and there's nothing really in the middle. So when you're listening to the song, the clap is like in the middle, but the basses are like on the side, and we've lost the basses in the middle. So compare the clap to the basses. The basses sound literally spread left and right completely. That's fine, but remember, we need both left and right, and we need the mono. If we just leave open space in the middle and only let the sub and the clap play and the bass are on the side, it's a very uneven mix, and that's just not really normal in our genre. We want it to be clear and crisp, and if it's brought up in the mix by being mono and stereo, that's what will make it clear and more upfront, which is important. We want to make sure that thing is as high energy as possible. That's about it. Looks like. Otherwise, this is good. Nice energy. I like the build up. Good potential. Very nice bones on this right here. Good job, guys. Edge and Zarkin. Checkmate. Next, we got Prophecy with End of Time. The drip mix. No way, we got the drip mix. Boy. All right, guys, End of Time. Let's go. All right, cool. That is Prophecy with End of Time. Drip mix. Cool. So if we look at this, there's a couple of things going on here. Now, visually, I want you guys to understand that your waveform shouldn't have like this space in between it. If you see most of these waveforms that we're looking at here, they'll either break out and go to the top like this, or they'll like reach the top and like have space in between, you know. But with this, like it looks like it's almost been turned down on the master or something, and it's unusually quiet. So you want to double check to make sure nothing weird's going on, turning down your whole song. Right now the song is pretty quiet. So like if we look at the drop,
I just dropped it.
so we're averaging about -7 LUFS, which is pretty quiet for this type of song. We really want it to be a little bit, right now it's a tiny bit louder than like a house song. We want it to be, you know, kind of a lot louder than a house song. There should be loudness to create energy, and we would get that loudness by just adding more layers. Right now it sounds like there's about one patch being played every single time. It's just very minimal. It sounds very thin, and the basses feel weaker because of this. You want to start layering your patches with other patches, and then making sure that sub is compressed with the patches. You want to glue them together with compression or a clipper, and that will make them sound even louder and heavier. Also, it doesn't really seem like we're in a proper scale or key. So I just want you to make sure that you are using like a scale or a key like D minor or F minor, and making sure that you're using it properly. If you have Ableton, use the scale feature. You should only be using 7 out of the 12 notes. You only are using 7 notes this whole song, basically. So right now it's sounding like the pitch is off. I'm not able to tell. Not able to tell what like scale or key you're writing in. So yeah, just make sure that you are in key and scale, because it's going to make everything blend together. Right now, everything's sounding a little bit off. Also, in important sections like this, when we're going from build up to drop, there should be some type of break. Right now, there's like a siren in the back overlapping between our phrases. So it's almost like we glued the build up, the pre-drop, and the drop together. And these should be distinctly different phrases, and that will add a lot more energy. The whole point is to build tension, create a moment of silence, and then drop it. But right now we've ruined that moment of silence, because there's the same background noise is playing in the build up, the pre-drop, and the drop. So listen to that. It's like falling down right there. That should not be there. And the one in the pre-drop can be replaced with like a sweep or something else that's rising. Not the same sound, or not the similar sound that we just heard previously. Okay, that's about it. That's going to help a lot. And make sure, yeah, call and response layers.
I just dropped it.
So you see how we did this vocal, and then we just go straight into the bass. That's just not enough movement. There should be some type of call, response, fill structure going on here to get people dancing. Right now, it's just... it's a vocal followed by a bass sound. That is good.
I just dropped it.
But like, once we do this vocal,
I just dropped it.
this should be like, or do something different. not just go into the sound. There should be movement between the basses. Remember, this isn't a bass.
I just drop shit.
That's a fill. So we need there to be movement between basses and your main leads, not movement between fills and vocals. The fills and the vocals are just extra ear candy to create dynamic shifts. Remember, it's super loud. Then we throw in the vocal to get quiet. Then we go back to loud, and that's what makes things impactful. They're not used for like call because it's not adding enough movement and it's not adding enough different tonality. So just keep that in mind. Call and response. It's going to make a huge difference in this song, and it'll keep the energy higher, keep the energy progressing. Up next, we got Scaniel and Malkovia with ID. Interesting. Well, let us see the ID. Cool. Tear out. Guns. This is really short. We're going to listen to it again. It's pretty slow, too. We're going to look at this BPM real quick. Okay, that is Scaniel and Malkovia ID. You know, I thought something WIP was going on. This is really slow, all right? There's not really a way to dance to this, okay? I know your BPM might say 120 up there, but when we make music, we have the option to write in halftime, full time, double time, triplet. Like, we have that ability to express it. But you guys accidentally wrote in 60 beats per minute. Remember, this is how fast we're dancing. I need you to understand this. Look at my head bob. This is the head bob. This is the speed of the head bob. Right? That's the speed we're dancing at. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be double time, but 1, 2, 3, 4. That's regular time. 2, 3. So we're moving our head to 60 beats per minute. That's how fast we're dancing. It's very hard to dance double time to this, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? It's very hard to dance like this because the slowness of this makes it lower energy. Now, I'm sure you've seen Murata do something like this, right? Because when he does this, he does it in a strategic manner, right? He made us dance in full time for a long time, right? Going straight hard, and then he slows it down in a different part of the song. And because we just danced full time, and then he slowed it down to halftime, that's what makes it work. Because now we can dance to something different. It feels so much different. And then he brings it back into full time. This is something that's done all the time in metal music and rock music. It's very common. But if you just make a song with no full time and only halftime, that's a problem. That'll become an issue. It's also extremely difficult to mix with other songs. So you don't want to make a song that's hard to DJ for others. You want it to be as easy as possible to DJ so that people can spread it out and play it at the festivals. That'll be important. So remember, halftime, full time, it's a thing. I used to always be working in 140, right? Young producer Drip. And I'd be working in 140 and I'm trying to like make something. And all of a sudden I'm freaking dancing in 70 beats per minute. And like for years, it would take me so long to speed up the energy. And if this was sped up, right? So if we put this in 120. So it's playing 140 right now. If we put it at 120, it'll play the regular speed. But when it's at 140 and we warp it and make it faster, you see the energy, then we can start dancing in that double time. Much, much heavier like that. So I would recommend probably just speeding it up. Don't commit to 120 unless you want to do like a cool break section in the song, like just like how Morality does, or like all these other cool tear out people. Just remember, that is important. That is the way to win. Keep them dancing. Keep them dancing. Otherwise, good guns, good heaviness. I think there might be a little bit there might be a little bit too much reverb space. You know, it kind of sounds like the reverb space volume is almost competing with the actual guns. So just try to control your space as best as possible. Be careful with how much you turn it up and how much low frequencies the reverb is putting out. It's one problem I have all the time. And once you're able to balance that space, it's going to make a big difference. All right. Very nice. Good job, Scaniel, Markovia. Up next, we have Le Reptile with Leviathan. Let's go. Clean, bro. Yo, this is the end of this reminded me of like some Linkin Park Transformer shit. Hold up. Very good. Flexing your music theory skills. Very good. I'm telling you guys, when you are a musician and you understand notes, harmony, melody, scales, music theory, it's really important. Remember, we're making music, right? We're not just DJs. If you're a DJ, you just know how to transition songs. But if you're a musician, you know how to write songs and you know how to actually harmonize. And this is a perfect example, right? All of our chords, our melodies, our arps, they all flow together and put us into an amazing atmosphere, a soundscape. This is what makes us feel like we're at a festival too. This is real like festival vibes up in here. Unfortunately though, your drop, it sounds very low quality due to how thin the basses are and how almost small they sound. This can be fixed by layering these basses. When you're layering, you want to analyze your first and see what is it playing, lows, mids, highs. If it's playing highs, you want to add another layer that plays mids, add another layer that plays some low grungy lows, and then the sub will be the super lows, 100 hertz and below. You want to basically fill up that frequency spectrum, lows, mids, highs with your bass, and then fill up the stereo image, which is mono and stereo. And those will be your layers at minimum to get something sounding full and nice. You got to be really careful because you can't add multiple reverbs. You should only add one reverb to the group at the end, so you have clean space. You want to make sure that you have an upfront signal and also clean stereo width as well. Right now, these basses, they're very low volume compared to the hats. If you try to listen to how loud the hats are, you can see the hats are like a little bit louder than the actual basses, which is a huge issue here. On top of that, the hats are competing frequency-wise. So the low frequencies of the hats and the mids of the hats, they're playing and they really shouldn't be. You can only have really those high frequencies of the hats blend in with everything else. Otherwise, the other frequencies will compete with these big basses. Remember, once we start to layer and add more, it's going to get even more congested. So EQing those hats will be really important. And you can EQ them at like 400 hertz, 600 hertz, around there. And check your layers. Check the layers of the basses and make sure that everything is layered properly. OTT and saturation. So compression and saturation is how you get things loud. EQ is how you get things clean. Looks like... So we have some sections like this. Now the chords are there, but they sound almost non-existent, sound very low volume, very low energy compared to the melody. So it's starting to sound empty here, unbalanced. Those chords are really the main thing, right? The chords are the harmony, the melody are those bells. Thank you very much for the follow. That's what I'm talking about, dog. Shout out to I Am Dead, Big Boss Player. So the respace sub that's playing, those are at full volume, melodies at full volume, but chords are like kind of hidden in the back, which just does not feel natural. So you want to look into that too. And overall volume. So this is -8 LUFS. It's really quiet. So you want to make sure that you're using a lot more compression and saturation. The overall compression in your individual basses and in the groups and in the master is minimal. So you want to start using compression more. I made a video about OTT and compression for beginners. So watch that. It's really helpful. It'll get you on your way with the comping. Let's go. Le Reptile, Leviathan. Up next, we have WIP with secondhand Corvex bootleg. He said he uploaded it to SoundCloud many times, but he kept getting copyright infringement, so we'll see.
Face me on a couple drugs, smoke amigo plug, FTP my blood, great fucking guy, or stay in your lane. Never hide, just make it. Hate this pain, hate this guy. Take these shoes, that's a day. Or you flowing through my veins. Love remains that make that stain. Y'all look good as cellophane, man. Insane, place, swinging, fuck you gon' fuck. We got pop, fuck you gon' do with. I think nada, just a persona, and I'm Nirvana. Papa says to make you mad, I know you know. Roll it. Got a whole solid cold white snow flow. Grab a whole shit, crash, sit, fuck you gon' do with. I think nada, just a persona. All of y'all are oversaturating, premium, but bitches FDP are fucking that. All y'all look the fucking same. Fuck the fame, fuck a lane. Bitch, I'm about to swerve into the toll booth and scrape the chain. Bring out your dad and blame it on yo. Bitch, I pull up. K9 by my right leg till I say okay. K9 on his hind legs, ripping off your face. All I gotta say is G590 to the grave. One color, two numbers, three fingers in the sky. Monster thunder, fuck the others, I'ma bring the ruckus, fuck your bitch, you swear she's on. I'm a hellbound, shorty wanna die. I'm a hellbound, shorty said she might let that bells bound. Shorty wanna cry, my fuck it every eye. Keep turning back, I glow to the grave.
Alright, cool. We got some Suicide Boys up in here. Secondhand Corvex bootleg. Yeah, that's secondhand, man, by the Suicide Boys. That song's hard, man. I felt like a gangster listening to this. Is that the original right there? I don't think I've heard the original, so I don't know if this is the original or if you made this beat. Does someone know? Is that the original? Yeah. Okay. That's why you're getting a copyright infringement. You can't just put their song in your thing. We have tools nowadays, like I use this, melody.ml. You put in the song, it extracts the vocals, the instruments, extracts everything so that you can make your remix. You don't want to use their drums. You want to make your own drums, you know, and use their vocals. And then match your song to their vocals. That will be best. You can use the original, but obviously you're going to have a lot of copyright issues that way. So you can easily get past that. If you make your own drums, you could even pitch down their vocals. That's what I did in my song Watch Me. I used Suicide Boy vocals, but I pitched them down like -4 semitones to match the key of my song. That's an easy way to get past it. So keep that in mind. I know you were asking me about that. Also, some huge things that we need to look into. The original song's at -8 LUFS. It's really quiet. And then you're transitioning us to -3 LUFS, which is a huge difference in volume. So we have to physically turn it down when we're listening to your song, which is a huge issue. We shouldn't need to adjust the volume when listening to your song. It should be just set loud, right? So either the drop would have to come down or the original has to go up. And I'm sure you know that the drop stays the same. So the intro would have to be turned up. And I'm sure you know if you start to turn up the original song, it starts to get distorted because the sub's in there. That's why we'd want to extract and have the vocals and stuff handy so that we can have full control. Also keep in mind, the pitch and the tone of these basses is very different than the pitch and tone of this hard-ass beat that we just heard with the raspy, sick, deep, grungy Suicide vocals that are playing. This is very dark. This is the energy that we get from this is darkness, right? Almost like you're in a fucking dark alley. But if we listen to these sounds, it starts to get like brighter and happier and almost like wet and wiggly, and it's a whole different vibe than them, you know? So I would really try to look into trying to match the tone and feeling of your basses to the original. That's what will really make a flip or a remix good. You don't want it to sound like two different songs, which is for sure what this is sounding like. And on top of that, the basses are repeating a lot. There's not really flow, not really call and response. The only differences you're doing is pitching it up and down, which is just not enough for us to stay interested. So you have to work on your call and response, work on fake outs as well. When these fake outs are playing, you should have a lot of the frequencies removed. Thank you for the follow. You are off the chain. Dire Titan, thank ya. So basically, when these are playing, this is the fake out. No drums are playing. So these should almost be washed out. A very minimal frequency should be playing. We're almost filtering out the frequency so that when the drop comes, boom, you get thrown into all the frequencies, get hit straight in the face right at the drop when the drums come.
Just up for some.
I mean, this is a simple trick and tip that all the EDM producers use that you need to be using because we just heard this tone. So if you just start playing it again right here and only add the drums, it's just not enough for energy. Plus, it's playing the same exact rhythm as that. It's starting to get repetitive. It's literally getting repetitive as soon as the drop starts. So that's a big issue. You got to be very careful. You don't want that to be happening. And then on the second drop, it's at -2 LUFS, super loud. Be careful with those sustains. Remember, balance out the song with the original and your drop. It's going to help a lot. Otherwise, that's about it, dog. That's about it. Keep it up. Great idea, Suicide Boys. And remember, use melody.ml. Use any AI vocal extraction tool to help you. I am going to use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back, and then we're going to get into LMDC. Are we out here? MDC coming in with Beyond Endless Emotions. The WIP 08073. Is that the code? Word? Code number? I don't know. But I'm gonna play it. LMDC, Beyond Endless Emotions. All right, cool. We have some melodic. Some basses. It's almost feeling like a little bit on like the YVM3 direction, you know, like melodic heavy. Unfortunately, though, we're not reaching heaviness because we're getting very, very repetitive very quickly. So let me show you. So starting in the build up, right there, the bass starts to come in. So our motif is dun 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 dun. You see that just kind of just repeats over and over and over again to the point that it becomes very hard to listen to. You want to make sure that if you're repeating something, it's catchy. It's not supposed to just repeat endlessly. It needs to change and shift at some point. Then you can go back to it, and then it would be even better. But if we just keep playing that same thing throughout the whole song, it's not going to work unless it's a super catchy melody or a motif. Let's see how long this is. It doesn't look like you start to drop on the downbeat either, which would kind of be like right here. Boom, boom. It starts like on where it's starting to get higher pitched. There's very odd structure that's making it go less energy, less in energy. Dun 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 dun. I think that's about 2 bars. So you want to be able to basically make something that's 4 bars. It's really easy to repeat. Yeah, so 2 bars really is a bad place to be in. Usually if someone's looping 2 bars, that can get really repetitive fast. 4 bars should be minimum what you're looping, and then you can extend that to 8 bars and make it a nice variation. And if you loop 8 bars, that's a really good place to be. But phrases usually are 4 bars. 4-bar phrase should have call, response, fill. That's minimum what you can do to add a lot of energy and movement. But right now, it doesn't feel like there's any movement at all. It's just kind of something repeating over and over again. So you gotta be careful. Also, we're in dire need of silence. There's no dynamic shift, so our ears get really used to all the sounds playing all at once. If we took a break and heard some silence and then went back into the sound, it would make a big, huge shift in power and energy. And then lastly, it's getting muddy, so a lot of the low frequencies are starting to build up, specifically like 100 hertz to 400 hertz. If a lot of basses and a lot of layers are starting to build up in that frequency spectrum, it gets muddy and it gets congested, it gets hard to listen to, and it doesn't sound clean or clear. So make sure you're looking into EQing every single track, all your groups, and making sure that it's as clean as possible. I usually like to make cuts at 175 hertz to prevent mud, and then maybe I'll leave like 1 layer playing at 100 hertz to 200 hertz just so we can fill up that low mid grunge area. We can put frequencies there, we just can't stack a lot of frequencies there like we can stack a lot in the high frequencies. Keep that thing in mind. Keep that thing in mind. Oh yeah, when it sounds nice over here. When it gets fast like this is fire. Definitely incorporate that more. That is good energy. All right, nice. LMDC, good job. Goat Dubs. Next, with Flute Loops Edit. Let's check it out. Alright, cool. Nice. Go Dubs coming in heavy. Heavy with the flute loops. Very nice. Okay, so this is cool. Very nice ideas. Very sick flow. We got good ideas here. It's just mix-wise, we're kind of squashing the sound until the point of no return. Remember, if we zoom out, we should be able to see what the song is doing. Like, for real. It's very uncommon for your song to look like this. It's called bricking. It's a problem. And when you zoom out and you see that it's a brick, you should know that that's not normal. You need dynamics. If everything is sounding like it's just being pushed to the top and we can't tell that there's a difference between loud and quiet, then that's not good. The sound of overcompression is a thing. If something's overcompressed, it's all pushed to the top. OTT can cause this easily. That's why it's called over the top compression, because it is way more than needed compression. We got to be careful not to overcompress. And that's what it looks like is happening here. We're pulling up the frequencies too much. We're getting too loud. We're hitting -2 in our buildup, which is very, very loud. We want the buildup to be a little bit quieter than the drop so that the drop feels like it has higher energy. The drop does peak pretty loud, almost close to -1 left. So we got to be careful. -3 lefts should be your maximum. You can get really good dynamics and loudness at -3 lefts. You should practice on doing that. Your mix is going to what separates you from the masters and the rookies. You know, you will be able to sound professional if you have nice mixes, basically. Nice dynamics, good dynamic shifts. This last part is really sick. It reminds me of Prosecute a lot. This is cool. It sounds heavy, sounds distorted, but it almost sounds like we're losing our high frequencies now. And whenever it sounds like this, we want to make sure that those highs and those mids are still clear and coming through. When the sub is turned up a lot, it congests the whole mix and it's hard for anything else to cut through. So you got to be aware of that if you're going to push the sub this hard. I like the sound of that. I love Prosecute and the way he pushes his sub and clips it. So I would reference his mixes so you can see exactly how you can make it sound so distorted and heavy and clean at the same time. It's just fire. Otherwise, yeah, control the clipping, control the dynamics. Oh yeah, lastly, both of the main leads. Sounds like I have 2 main leads playing at the same time. So they're like competing to be the star of the show, when really they should be blending together and adding cohesion. But instead they're like competing, and your mind is like, okay, should I listen to this one or should I listen to this one? And then it just becomes like, then you start thinking too much and you don't get lost in the sound like you should. So hit perfect harmony, make sure those blend well, tone-wise, pitch-wise, frequency-wise, EQ them. It's going to help a lot with adding the energies. Nice. Up next, we got Nicki Minaj with Fuck the Cunt Up Tree Mix WIP. I don't know if that's the song name, but we're rolling.
Hey yo, I tell them that I'm the sleaze, they telling me, okay, prove it. I lead these bitches on red, so now they know that they blew it. I tell them I'm moving units, my videos, they gon' view it. Spotify ain't gotta lie, they really streaming my music.
This club up, got this club up, this club up, got this club up, this club up,
Fuck this club up.
this club
Who's this club up, my boy?
I give bitches the pound, they fuck around and lose it. Nah, I am no wave, I only wave when I'm telling them bye. Bitch, we ain't turning, ain't fraternal, identical. When I'm around, but you know you be cutting this about. Who wanna play with me? Got the power, I could tell my niggas spray like 50. Come on, bitch, I just put the movie on my bitch. Mine is like 50, mine is 950.
Got the club up, got the club up, got the club up, got the club up, got the club up.
Yo.
High heels on my tippies. Yo, say ain't Gabbana, that's one my titties.
Club up.
One my titties. Say ain't Gabbana, that's one my titties.
The Tree Amigos. Nicki Minaj fucked this club up. I messed up on the song name. It's a good idea. This is a good song to use. It's very popular. It has great potential for fills. You know, like we use on. She said like high heels or some shit earlier.
High heels on my tip.
Like that is hard, right? Unfortunately, though, the amount of layers and the energy in this is very, very minimal, very low. It sounds very empty in most sections of the song. It sounds very unfinished, and this can easily be fixed by starting to add more layers for your bass, first off. So like that bass, for example, that can be louder. It can be layered with similar basses of itself. Add the sub. Should be a sub playing with that. And these basses in your drop sound very quiet. They can be layered. They can have more compression and saturation. We want those to be loud and pulled up into the mix for sure, because that's the drop. They need to be up there. And this, there's only a vocal and drums playing. So it just sounds very empty. We need some type of melody, some type of chords. Remember, music is not just rhythm and drums, but music is melody and harmony as well. And the vocals would be flowing with the melody and harmony. And the rhythm. But all of them together is what we need. If we're missing one, it'll start to sound empty. So work on your layers, work on trying to get as much energy as possible in your drop and in the intro so that they sound less empty. It's going to help a lot. Hit me up if you have any questions about any of that. Got you. Next we have Yakoba with Bring It, with one of the best. Is this Jack 3, dude? Oh, bro. Jack 3, man. Nostalgia. This is so nostalgia. So nostalgia. So nostalgia. holding up the drive by the dawn. 28 inches on my shit. You see the rims popping in the trunk. 12s go bump. 312 busting out the trunk. I just put on my new track and it bumps.
I'll say something really teary at the funeral, like, how am I gonna get paid back now?
Cool. Bring it, Yakoba. We have some melodic heaviness. Kind of reminds me of like some Muerte vibes. We got like strings and synths playing during the drop. They don't sound perfectly in key though. They sound off.
Get paid back now!
Like those melodic synths should be adding way more harmony and impact than it is right now. They seem pitched wrong. Make sure that you're perfectly in key, perfectly in scale. It's super important that you're not creating unwanted tension and dissonance. That will really steer your track in the wrong direction. You have to make sure that if you're trying to break the rules of music theory, that you do it very strategically and only in certain sections where you can make it work. Otherwise, it's going to make the whole track sound very off and dissonant.
Back now!
Overall, guns sound very weak. Sounds small. I mean, just compare the gun's loudness to the synth. Like the string is much louder than the bass. So guns are hard to layer. They're hard to get big. If you watch my latest Tearout Guns 2024 update video, you'll be able to learn quickly how to layer these guns and make them big and fat, because this is just not going to cut it at all. These are very small and very low energy. It's more like this is a synth and melodic drop rather than like a bass drop because of how it's mixed. Okay, and then last thing is sub. The sub, remember this is bass music, so the sub bass is everything. Sub bass is very small, very weak. You want to pump that up with saturation, low pass it to clean it up, and get that thing louder. There's many different ways to get it loud, but that sub needs to be very prominent here in the mix. Those are going to help a lot. And then in these transition sections, these are really important. You have a lot of energy. We're not building up anything. We're just going from a beat to this. So we haven't built any tension and we're not releasing it. The whole point of EDM is we build it up with the build up and then drop it. EDM's all about the drop. So if you're not building it up, there's not a drop.
I'll say something really teary at the...
That is our attempt of the build up right here.
I'll say something really teary at the funeral, like, how am I gonna get paid back now?
So it's very, very small energy being built here. And then on top of that, when we go into the drop, there's not any call and response. We're just getting thrown in to the motif. So it becomes repetitive and predictable very fast. And the energy is just low. So you gotta fix these things. Call and response. You guys need to do proper build-ups. If you don't do a build-up, you have to do some type of automation. Just study house music or drum and bass. They automate so many different parameters to build tension in other ways than just like repeating claps and snares. So lots of different ways you can do that. Study it. Reference songs, guys. Please reference tracks so that you can learn faster. It's going to make a huge difference. Next is Am I Dead? With WIP number 6. Goes like. Okay, this might be called Goes Like. Never know till you know. Goes like. and it.
And it goes like. And it goes like. And it goes like.
Very nice. And it goes like by I Am Dead. Very nice. That vocal is really doing a lot of heavy lifting here, I must say. If the vocal was out, it would be so different. You know, just that one little vocal does so much. And in EDM, that's, you'll see, that's really common, right? Just one phrase is all you really need to go a long way. Unfortunately, it sounds very empty here. We only have a melody playing. And like a very ominous, like atmospheric. There should be a bass line that is flowing with that melody, you know, chord progression wise. You can also have chords being played with the bass line, very low volume, creating ominous dark feeling. It's very empty right now. Simple dark chords. Don't even do a triad, just do two voices. Use your root and use your fifth. Maybe just go from root to fifth or fifth to root. Very simple chord progressions will create darkness rather than like 4 chord progressions. We don't want to make it happy. We want to keep it dark and maybe do more movement with the bass line. Have the bass start moving. That's going to add a lot of movement and energy at the beginning and keep the audience engaged all the way to here. But when you get here, we need this to be proper fake out. So like washing it out, have it totally reverbed or washed out, super wet. And then we go closer and closer to dryness. And then boom, get hit with the dryness right at the drop. Right now it sounds very muffled. It almost sounds like we're like in a filter. And this is common because if we don't have proper compression, it will sound like the highs. The high frequencies are not loud enough. And that's what it sounds like here. It sounds like we need compression. Please don't use OTTs. That's too much compression. We need easy multiband dynamics, a little bit of saturation, clean gain is what we're looking for here. In these sections when we transition back, if you keep the sub playing with this, it will be a great way to transition from the drop to this. It sounds a little bit abrupt right now, but if you just keep the sub playing, it would have the sub, like just imagine being at the festival and then you feel the sub and you hear this section. It sounds fucking hard, you know, and that would be great transition technique. From drop to breakdown and then back to the other washout. Sussy is good, but it's not flowing with the basses. So because of that, the dynamics are off. There's a sussy way in the background, kind of low volume. But the way our flow goes, it's like, damn, damn, damn. That's the flow we're getting. Damn. But there's a sussy in the background, kind of like overlapping that flow and playing during the silent sections. It could be like bump, silence, bump, silence. But the sussy's playing during those silent sections. So it's like they're glued together and we don't feel that dynamic shift that you created as much. We want to feel that dynamic shift. So just simply, you know, cut the sussy, fade the sussy, make it flow. The bang, bang. It'll help a lot. Dynamics, man, going back and forth between loud to quiet, loud to quiet. That is what makes people dance, makes people go crazy. Otherwise, good job, bro. Goes like feeling it, liking it. You're doing good. As usual, am I dead? Next, we have Lazy with the drum and bass jump up number 2. Let's get it. Drum bass. He be fucking with the stag, oh wow. Matter of fact, you see me in a while. I'm going up to the gas station, getting black and mild. But I say, stop that, the nicotine is bad. I'm on some weed instead because you like it in the head. I got my bomb. Hold up.
Trying to get you.
Who just followed in there? Who the heck just followed like that? Thank you for the follow. And you're welcome, Am I Dead? Good job. Okay. So, this is Lazy coming up with the drum and bass jump up. We've got some cool chords, you know. It's kind of feeling a little bit happy, a little bit bright, a little bit tropical, you know. Right now, when the vocals start to come in here, they're out of key. They're creating a lot of tension and dissonance because they're not in the same key or scale as the chords that are playing. That's a big problem, big issue. Need to check out the key. You got to make sure those are perfect. In your sampler, check the transposition. Look at the pitch of the original sample. Many different things you have to check out to make sure your pitch is perfect. And then we have some big issues here, mixing wise. So all the chords play a lot of lows and mids that now compete with the basses that you bring in here. So in the drop, all those chords need to be EQ'd so that only the highs play because you're introducing all these new low frequencies that take up the whole mix here. So EQ is super important. It's getting very muddy and very congested here. We got to be careful because that's a lot of unwanted frequencies that are starting to build up, and it's not pleasant to the ear. We also need to make sure that we be careful because if we add the vocal out of key into the drop, that's not creating harmony, but it's actually creating tension and dissonance and making that harder to listen to. So these are things that are very important. You want to look in to the pitch and the key that that vocal is playing and make sure it's proper so that it flows perfectly with this. And of course, those melodic chords need to be treated very special. They have to be treated very differently when it's in the drop compared to the intro. Because in the intro, you can leave the lows and the mids, right? But in the drop, that's where you have to clean it up even more and treat them special. And then lastly, we have a hat going tss, 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 tss. That quarter note hat is not enough to add speed. We need shakers going or breaks like super fast speed with shaker loops, hat loops, or drum breaks like almond breaks. That's how you're going to speed up the energy here. But right now it's sounding very empty drum wise. We're losing a lot of the speed and rhythm in the drums because it's just kick and snare and very minimal elements when it comes to drums. Okay, so make sure EQing a lot, checking the key, and speeding up your drums Good job, guys. You guys are killing the game. Submit any songs that you want to hear on next Monday's stream. You know I got you. Go to my YouTube if you want free tutorials. Ask me questions if you need specific help. I can guide you in the right direction. And if you need extreme 1v1 lessons with huge big brain knowledge, you let me know. I can help you out. Hit me up or go to dripment.com to book a lesson. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for submitting. Stay fresh, crispy clean. Let me know if you want any future videos. I take all requests. Keep it fresh, guys. Later.